All right, let's talk about something that probably drives a lot of business owners crazy: the phone bill. I mean, have you ever looked at it and just thought, why does this cost so much? Why does it feel so old? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to break down how a piece of tech called SIP trunking is helping companies slash those costs. Let's dive in. It's not just you. Industry analysts have a term for the cost of old school business phone systems: alarmingly high. And wow, does that hit home, right? If you've ever had to sign off on a telecom invoice, that phrase probably sounds very familiar. So let's just put it out there. Does your business phone bill feel alarmingly high? If you're nodding your head right now, then stick around. You're in exactly the right place because we're about to dig into a really powerful fix for that exact problem. Okay, so before we get to the solution, we've got to understand the problem. I mean, what is it about those old school phone systems that makes them so ridiculously expensive? Well, it really boils down to some pretty old tech, specifically something called a PRI line. The best way to think about it is like being forced to buy phone service in bulk. You're locked into paying a flat fee, usually around $500 a month, for 23 phone lines, or what they call channels. But here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if you use 5 of those lines or all 23. You pay the same price. It's just super rigid and totally inefficient for how businesses work today. So yeah, that's the old clunky way of doing things. But the modern solution? It's all built on a technology called SIP. That stands for Session Initiation Protocol, by the way. And trust me, it's a total game changer. So what exactly is a SIP trunk? Well, instead of those old physical copper wires running into your building, it's basically a virtual phone line. It just uses the internet connection you're already paying for to handle all your calls. And right away, that's way more efficient because you can run a whole bunch of calls over that one single connection. Here's the easiest way to picture it. You're swapping out those rigid physical phone lines for flexible digital capacity that you control. So let's say you have a super busy season coming up. Boom, you can add more lines instantly. Things get quiet next month? No problem. You can scale them right back down. Suddenly, you're in the driver's seat controlling exactly what you use and what you pay for. All right, so we get it. It's more flexible. That's great. But let's get to the main event, the part you're probably most interested in. How does this actually affect your bottom line? Because this is where the savings get really, really obvious. And the savings here are huge, and they come from a few different places. First off, instead of that flat, non-negotiable $500 fee, you're paying per channel, so only for what you actually need. You go from this fixed, expensive model to a super flexible one. But that's just the beginning. You also get way cheaper long-distance rates, and you can say goodbye to the cost of having and maintaining all that clunky equipment on site. And the flexibility doesn't stop there. It gets even better when you look at the pricing models. Let's say your team's on the phone all day. An unmetered, unlimited plan is perfect. It gives you a predictable, flat cost. But what if your call volume goes up and down all the time? Well, then a metered, pay-as-you-go plan is your best friend, making sure you never, ever pay for what you don't use. It's all about letting you perfectly match your spending to your actual business needs. So, the big question: how long does it take to see a return on this? You'll love this. For most businesses, the payback is incredibly fast. We're talking about a positive return on your investment. The point where the savings have officially paid for the switch, usually within the first year. Just 1 year. Now look, the cost savings alone are pretty amazing, but that's honestly not even the whole story. When you switch to SIP trunking, you get a ton of other benefits, operational advantages that can totally change how your business communicates, for the better. And these advantages are just as compelling as the savings. Think about it. Instead of waiting weeks for a technician to show up, you can add new phone lines in minutes right from a web browser. Your provider handles all the heavy lifting with the infrastructure, which frees up your IT team to work on more important stuff. Plus, you get modern security features like call encryption to keep your conversations private, and it ensures you're compliant with E911 regulations, which is absolutely critical for helping emergency services find you. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get practical and talk about the how. How can you make absolutely sure you're squeezing every last drop of value out of your SIP setup? It really just comes down to 3 simple steps. First, use your data. Dive into your call analytics. Figure out how many people are on the phone at the exact same time during your busiest peak hours. This is how you right-size your channels so you stop paying for capacity you're just not using. And finally, when you really lean into cloud solutions, you can get rid of more of that on-site hardware, which cuts your maintenance costs down even more. Now, in the spirit of full transparency, it's a good idea to know about a few other potential costs. We're talking about small things, like monthly fees for your individual phone numbers, your DIDs, or your toll-free lines. There might also be a small one-time fee to port your existing numbers over. They're usually not a big deal, but knowing about them ahead of time helps you get a crystal clear picture of the whole investment. So let's wrap this up with a final question for you to think about. Every piece of tech in your business should be a tool, right? Something that helps you move forward. So take a hard look at your phone system. Is it a real asset, something that's saving you money and giving you flexibility? Or is it just a relic from another era that's costing you a fortune and holding back your ability to grow? Honestly, the choice between those two realities has never been clearer.